Marcus looks at me like I'm the reason his sky is always falling. We've been together 2 years, and somehow the deeper I love him, the more he slips away. It started small. He'd sigh when I'd ask if he was okay, roll his eyes when I'd try to hold his hand. I thought he was just stressed from work. But one night, when I asked him if I could help, he dropped the first bomb. "You're the reason I'm unhappy, Lena," he said. "You're intense. You push too much. I can't breathe sometimes." It felt like someone reached inside my chest and crushed the air out of me. Me? The reason he couldn't breathe? I spent every day trying to make him feel loved, and he made it sound like love was a prison. He kept piling it on. "I can't keep pretending everything's fine just to protect your feelings. You drain me emotionally. If I mess up, you act like it's the end of the world." I started apologizing for everything, even things that didn't make sense. If he was late from work, I was sorry for texting to check on him. If he forgot our date, I was sorry for expecting him to show up. My existence became one long apology, desperate and shaking. Marcus said he needed help because he was too messed up from our relationship. He blamed his nightmares on me. He blamed his lack of motivation on me. He even blamed the way he eats, saying I make him feel guilty about food. It was like anything bad in his life had a sticky note reading "Lena did this." Then came the solution, his solution. "I'm starting therapy," he told me one morning, stuffing clothes in a gym bag even though his appointment was supposedly inside an office. "I need professional help dealing with everything you've put me through." I just nodded, tears threatening to spill. Did I really ruin him that much? I promised myself I'd change. I'd be the softest, quietest version of me if it meant he'd heal. He kissed my forehead before leaving and said, "Don't text. Therapy days are hard. I'll reach out afterward." The door closed, and I stood there, clutching my phone like a lifeline. Therapy day number 1. He was gone for 4 hours. When he came home, he smelled different, like sandalwood cologne he never wore before. His hair looked freshly cut. And he was smiling. Actually smiling. But the moment I asked, "How did it go?" he shut down again. "Please don't do that," he snapped. "Don't interrogate me or I won't want to get better." I froze. I wasn't allowed to ask about the therapy that was supposedly saving our relationship. So I stayed quiet. I stopped touching his phone. I stopped checking his location. I stopped needing anything from him at all. Every therapy day became a ritual, me waiting, terrified to breathe wrong, and him coming home with new shirts, new confidence, new energy, none of which was spent on me. I should have left then. But I loved him so hard it hurt. I told myself, if he's finally healing, I can be patient. I held on to the hope that someday, once his therapist fixed him, maybe he'd look at me like I wasn't the villain in his story. The worst part? He made me believe that losing him would mean I had destroyed the only good thing in my life. So I smiled through the ache in my chest, kissed him even when he turned away, and whispered goodnight into the dark, trying to love a man who kept insisting that my love was a disease. I didn't know it yet, but those therapy days were never therapy at all. Those were the days he was learning how to replace me. Therapy days became sacred. Not for us, for him. Off limits. Untouchable. Silent zones. Every Thursday at exactly 3 p.m., he grabbed that same gym bag, spray that same sandalwood cologne like he was trying to impress his own reflection, and disappear. He'd walk out the door with a soft, exhausted sigh like he was preparing for emotional battle. But every time he returned, he seemed lighter. Happier. Almost glowing. Like therapy wasn't painful, like it was his favorite part of the week. I tried to celebrate it. "You look good," I'd say, hoping to be supportive, hoping he'd share even a tiny part of his healing with me. He'd shrug, toss his bag aside, and mumble, "Don't make a big deal out of it. I'm doing the work. For us. For us." Such a beautiful lie. Weeks passed, and clues piled up like dirty laundry. Receipts I wasn't supposed to see. A spa in his pocket. A massage bill in his jeans. A hotel keycard tucked inside a folded napkin. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. It could all be part of a therapy program, right? Self-care is important. Massages help mental health. Maybe his therapist recommended spa time. But why, without me? Every therapy day, he'd come home with new clothes. Nicer ones. Trendier ones. When I'd ask about the shirts or shoes, he'd scoff. Dr. Blake said I need to feel confident again. You wouldn't understand. Dr. Blake. His mysterious therapist. Except, every time I suggested I come with him, just once, he turned cold. You want to embarrass me in front of my therapist? You'd twist everything to make yourself look innocent. I can't heal with you there breathing down my neck. Breathing down his neck. That's what love was to him now. I started noticing more changes. He shaved more often. Started going to the gym, but only before therapy days. He bought a new phone and refused to give me the passcode for his mental privacy. He was building walls. Thick ones. And every brick had my name carved into the reason for it. My dreams became nightmares where he left me, again and again. I'd wake up crying, begging him not to give up on us. He'd wipe a single tear, just to look like the hero and whisper, "See what you do to me? You make me feel like the bad guy." And suddenly, I was apologizing for my own abandonment issues. Apologizing for worrying. Apologizing for wanting to feel loved. Supporting him turned into tiptoeing around him. Loving him turned into survival tactics. The worst part? Sometimes he'd come home with tiny flecks of glitter on his neck. A rosy mark near his collarbone. Perfume I didn't own clinging to his shirt. I'd stare at the evidence and convince myself I was just being insecure. Because if I admitted what my heart already knew, everything would break. One night, he came home late, much later than usual. Therapy supposedly ended at 5. It was 11. When I asked what happened, he leaned in close, eyes sharp like knives. "It's my therapist's birthday. We went out to celebrate. Try to be supportive for once." His therapist's birthday. Right. I swallowed the truth like poison and put a smile over the pain. Because if Marcus was finally healing, I didn't want to be the reason he stopped. Little did I know, his healing was someone else's honeymoon. And the truth was getting closer. I could feel it breathing on my neck. Her name was Tara Collins. I learned it the way every girlfriend learns the other woman's name, slowly, painfully, and only after pretending she didn't exist for too long. Tara from work, he'd say casually. We're on a new project together. At first, she was just a contact in his phone he scrolled past too fast. Then she became the name lighting up his screen at 2 a.m. When I asked why she was texting so late, he fired back instantly. It's a work emergency. You think everyone revolves around your schedule. A work emergency at 2 in the morning. Sure. Suddenly, Tara was always mentioned. Tara thinks I should wear blue more often. Tara says I have leadership potential. Tara brought me lunch because I was too anxious to leave my desk. Tara. I laughed at his jokes less. And he stopped making them anyway. His attention was glued to that glowing rectangle in his hand, fingers flying when her name popped up. One day, I reached out to take his phone, just to put in a charger, and he snatched it away like I was a thief. You have no respect for my healing process. Healing? From what? Me daring to touch his phone? He started dressing nicer for work. New shirts that hugged his body perfectly. Expensive shoes he said were on sale. He even bought a new watch because Tara said it matched my eyes. I didn't even know watches could match eyes. The universe was trying to warn me, but I kept shutting the door on every sign. Until my friend Mia came over one night. She sat down gently and said the words that sucked the oxygen out of my lungs. Lena, I saw Marcus downtown today. He wasn't alone. My heart punched its way up into my throat. Who was he with? Mia hesitated. That pause told me everything. A girl. Short wavy hair. Brown eyes. Laughing at everything he said. I felt sick. Tara has short wavy hair. Brown eyes. A too loud laugh that Marcus once said annoyed him. Now he loved it, apparently. When I confronted him, voice shaking, he stared at me with pure irritation, like I'd interrupted his nap with screaming sirens. Oh my God, Lena. That was therapy-related. Tara drove me there because I had a panic attack. A panic attack so intense he ended up eating dessert and laughing? I begged him to just be honest. I'm scared I'm losing you, I whispered. That's when he twisted the knife. You're ruining my healing with your insecurity. I literally told my therapist you'd do this. You're proving him right. His therapist. The imaginary therapist who apparently discussed me more than him. I apologized. I apologized for confronting him about cheating on me. How insane is that? Later that night, I heard him on the phone whispering, laughing softly. I tried to listen, until he noticed and stormed into our bedroom. You're paranoid. And if you don't stop, I'll leave. And then you'll really have something to be anxious about. And just like that, fear swallowed me whole. I became quieter. Smaller. So careful not to scare him away. But Marcus underestimated one thing. Fear doesn't silence the truth. It multiplies it. And soon, the truth was going to drag me straight to his therapy front row ticket to my heartbreak. I think part of me already knew the truth. But knowing and seeing are two different kinds of pain. It happened on a Thursday therapy day. Marcus rushed out the door with his gym bag, cologne cloud trailing behind him. He didn't even say goodbye. Just slammed the door like I was a burden he couldn't wait to escape. My hands were shaking when I grabbed my keys. I wasn't trying to stalk him. I was trying to save what was left of us. I followed at a distance, my heart thumping against the steering wheel with every turn. He stopped at Riverside Therapy Center, a real place, a legit-looking building. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was the villain he said I was. He got out of the car. He checked his reflection in the window. He fixed his hair. Who fixes their hair for therapy? Marcus walked inside, and I waited, counting minutes like they were heartbeats. 10, 20, 30. Finally, I got out of my car and went inside. My voice trembled as I approached reception. Hi. Marcus Reed? He has a session today. The receptionist typed for what felt like a lifetime. Then her brows furrowed. I'm sorry, but there's no Marcus Reed in our system. My stomach hit the ground. He comes every Thursday, I whispered. Maybe check again? He sees Dr. Blake. She gave me that pity look, the one meant for people unraveling in public. There's no Dr. Blake working here. My brain stopped. Everything went silent. Like the world held its breath with me. I stumbled outside, gasping for air. I looked toward the parking lot, and that's when I saw him. Marcus. Walking out of a different building behind the center, laughing. And beside him, Tara. Her hand was wrapped around his arm. She leaned into him like she belonged there. He looked down at her the way he used to look at me, like she was everything and more. They were dressed for a trip, luggage in hand, spa bags dangling. Self-care. Healing. Happiness. All the things he said I ruined. I wanted to scream, but my voice broke into fragments of disbelief. Marcus's eyes lifted, and he saw me. The smile on his face disappeared, then twisted into something cruel. Oh great, he said, pulling away from Tara. The stalker has arrived. I felt Tara's eyes scanning me, no apology, no guilt. Just curiosity. Like she was wondering what kind of pathetic creature I must be. You lied to me, I croaked. Therapy wasn't real. You were. He cut me off with a laugh. A laugh that punched the air out of my lungs. Look at yourself. You're obsessed. This is why I needed space. I took a step back. The world tilted sideways. You're cheating on me. He rolled his eyes. If you were a better girlfriend, I wouldn't have needed someone who actually listens. Tara didn't pull him closer. She didn't defend me either. She just watched like she was witnessing a play she didn't pay for. Marcus leaned in, voice low and poisonous. Go home and think about how you drove me to this. My therapist said you're toxic, and now you're proving him right. There it was again. The therapist who didn't exist. Tara grabbed his hand. Let's go, she said softly, like she owned him now. He smirked, that cold, victorious smirk, and walked away. With my heart. With my life. With my entire reality. And I just stood there. No longer a girlfriend. Just a discarded emotional punching bag left behind on the pavement. I didn't cry. Not then. The tears came later, crashing in waves so violent I thought they might drown me. But in that moment, I was frozen. A silent statue watching the person I loved walk away into a happily ever after that wasn't mine. His therapy was fake. His healing was fake. His love was a weapon. And he had just used it to destroy me. I didn't go home right away. I sat in my car, forehead against the steering wheel, trying to breathe like a normal human being and not someone whose heart had been shattered on a therapist's doorstep, or rather, the doorstep of a lie. Every inhale burned. Every exhale tasted like betrayal. I replayed everything Marcus ever said. Every accusation. Every guilt trip. Every moment I believed I was the reason he was broken. What if he was right? What if I was suffocating? What if I did cause him anxiety? What if I ruined us? By the time I stumbled into our apartment, my chest ached like my ribs were collapsing inward. His things were scattered everywhere, like fingerprints of a crime scene. I grabbed his hoodie, the one he never let me wear because it was his favorite. I buried my face in it, and instead of comfort, I smelled perfume. Tara's perfume. That's when the tears came. Ugly, shaking, animalistic crying. The kind that leaves your throat sore and your eyes burning. I cried until my head throbbed. Until my voice disappeared. Until I couldn't feel anything but the hollow space where love used to live. Days blurred. I didn't eat. Didn't shower. Didn't reply to friends. The world kept spinning, but I was stuck in the wreckage. I scrolled through old photos of us, smiling, happy, and I wanted to scream. Where did it go wrong? How did I lose him? And then the worst thought slithered in. Maybe I deserved it. Because he made me believe I wasn't enough. That my love was poison. That my existence was too much. That's how abusers win, with whispers that sound like truth. One morning, 3 days of tears later, my friend Mia knocked nonstop until I opened the door. She gasped when she saw me, hair a mess, eyes swollen, blankets wrapped around me like armor. "Lena, no. This isn't you," she said, hugging me tight. I collapsed into her arms, sobbing. She helped me into clean clothes, forced food into my hands, and dragged me into sunlight like she was rescuing a trapped animal. "You need help," she insisted. "Real help." Her words stung. Was I really that messed up? But the next day, she drove me to a real therapist, Dr. Everett Blake. Yeah, crazy coincidence, right? Same name he lied about. Except this Dr. Blake was real. Warm eyes. Gentle voice. A room that felt like a safe place to fall apart. I told him everything. Every manipulation. Every lie. Every minute I spent believing Marcus's version of me. When I finished, Dr. Blake leaned forward and said something I didn't expect. "Lena, you were emotionally abused. None of what he did was your fault." Abused. The word felt too big for me, but also exactly the right size. He explained how Marcus weaponized mental health for control, how he made me responsible for his happiness while he quietly destroyed mine. For the first time, the fog in my brain lifted. Just a little. Just enough to see one thing clearly. Marcus broke me. I didn't break him. Dr. Blake helped me make a plan. Small steps. Tiny victories. Eat one real meal a day, white heavy checkmark. Shower regularly, white heavy checkmark. Block Marcus on social media, crossmark. Not ready yet. Write down truths to fight the lies, white heavy checkmark. I wrote the first one in shaky pen strokes. I am not the reason he cheated. It didn't feel real yet. But maybe someday it would. I wasn't healed. I wasn't strong. Not yet. But for the first time in a long time, I wasn't drowning. And I promised myself, when I was ready, he would face what he did to me. He ruined my heart. Now I was going to rebuild it without him. It had been 2 months. 2 months of slowly stitching myself back together. 2 months of therapy sessions where I learned to breathe again. 2 months of realizing that love shouldn't feel like bleeding out quietly. I wasn't healed. But I was no longer his victim. Then Mia sent me a screenshot that lit a fire inside me. Marcus had posted on Instagram. "Sparkles graduating therapy today, Sparkles. New me. Healthier me. Thanks to those who stuck by my side. Self-care is a journey, and some people don't belong on it." Victor hand. The picture? Him and Tara, all smiles, holding a cake that said, "Therapy complete." Therapy complete, from sessions that never happened. My hand shook. Not from fear, from rage. Mia grabbed her keys. "You ready?" I nodded. Oh, I was ready. The party was at some upscale lounge, fairy lights, fancy balloons, and too much glitter for someone who supposedly hates attention. Marcus was in the center of it all, wearing confidence like a designer suit. Tara stood beside him like his shiny prize. When he saw me walk in, his jaw dropped. Shock. Then anger. Then panic. I smiled, the calm before the storm. Well, he sneered, voice dripping with venom. The psycho X shows up. I pulled something from my purse and held it up. Receipts. Spa trips. Hotel stays. Romantic dinners. Dates disguised as healing. Funny, I said, loud enough for everyone. I didn't know therapists performed couples massages. Whispers spread like wildfire. Guests stared at him. At Tara. At me. Marcus lunged forward, face red. You need to leave. But I stepped back and clicked play on my phone. A recording of the receptionist. There's no Marcus Reed in our system, and no Dr. Blake works here. Silence. The kind that suffocates. Tara's face crumpled. You told me you were in therapy, she whispered. He grabbed her wrist. Baby, listen. She yanked away. No. No more lies. She looked at me with something close to guilt. Maybe she wasn't innocent, but she was definitely played. Marcus turned to the crowd, stuttering, drowning in excuses. She's trying to ruin me. She's obsessed. Obsessed? I laughed. You gaslit me until I thought I was the reason you were miserable. You made me believe I broke you, while you were treating another woman like a reward for surviving me. His mouth opened, but no lies came out this time. I took a breath, steady, strong. You don't get to call it healing when the process is hurting someone else. A few people clapped. Just a few, but enough to make him flinch. Tara stepped forward. We're done, Marcus. He reached for her. She walked away. He reached for me. I stepped back. Lena, please. My name isn't yours to cry anymore. His eyes shimmered with counterfeit tears, the same ones he used to reel me back in. Not today. You can't just walk away, he choked out. I smiled genuinely, for the first time in far too long. Watch me. I turned and left, the sound of people whispering behind me, and Marcus's perfect world collapsing at his feet. For once, he was the one left stranded in the broken pieces. And God, did that feel like justice? I expected to feel empty after walking away. But instead, I felt light. Like I had finally dropped baggage I'd been dragging for miles, weight I didn't even realize belonged to him, not me. Over the next weeks, my life became mine again. Sparkles, I redecorated the apartment, every trace of him gone. Sparkles, I started painting, messy colors that made sense only to me. Sparkles, I went out with friends and laughed like laughter wasn't a sin. Sparkles, I blocked him. Everywhere. For good this time. My therapist taught me to celebrate tiny victories. Smiling without forcing it, white heavy checkmark. Sleeping without nightmares, white heavy checkmark. Believing I deserve safe love, white heavy checkmark. But the biggest victory came the day Marcus tried to crawl back. He showed up at my door, eyes wild, hair unstyled, no cologne masking the ugliness anymore. Lena, he breathed out like my name was air he needed to survive. She left me. Tara left. I need you. There it was. The hook he always used. The trap disguised as love. But this time, I wasn't the same scared girl holding her breath for validation. I opened the door just enough to look him in the eyes that once brainwashed me into thinking I was unlovable. I don't hate you, I said. His brows softened, hope flickering. But I don't love who I was when I loved you. Hope died right there. I deserved better than being your excuse for every bad feeling you had, I continued. I deserved honesty. And you gave me lies dressed as therapy. He reached out, but I stepped back. I am done letting you write the story of who I am. His lips trembled. Please. No. One word. Sharp. Final. Powerful. I closed the door. He knocked. He begged. He texted from unknown numbers. But I never answered. Instead, I answered myself. I got a new job opportunity. I took weekend trips solo. I looked in the mirror and didn't see a problem to fix. I saw a woman who survived being shattered and still learned how to shine. I posted one picture, just one, on my new account. Me smiling under sunlight, captioned, "Herb healing looks good on me." The likes didn't matter. The comments didn't matter. What mattered was this. My happiness didn't come from fixing someone else anymore.